I believe we are live. So, pretty eventful card. Um, did kind of straggle a little bit. Let me check. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I'm on the right page. Um, did kind of straggle a bit towards the end, but very good card in general. Um, but yeah, I'm absolutely tired. Gonna do this fight recap real quick. I'm just gonna run through all the fights, the people that impressed me, and what I thought of the matchup. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. We have, I hope you guys can see this. We have, I don't care about this ad. We have Tatsuro Taira versus Jesus Aguilar. I was a little worried at the beginning of this fight. Tatsuro Taira kind of went directly at him when shooting, and Jesus Aguilar pretty much got him into a guillotine immediately. Got to the ground, and then Tatsuro Taira basically for the whole entire round, he was just trying to get out of the position, and then eventually got on top, then did a triangle while he was still on top, reversed it over into an armbar, and then submitted Jesus Aguilar. So super impressive win by Tatsuro Taira, getting out that initial submission and then submitting Jesus Aguilar within those transitions of the triangle to the armbar. And there's a couple other things too. But the fight that was taken off this card was Yeon Kim versus Mandy Bohm. Thank God it got me through this damn card, even though the ads were a little rough because the UFC likes to punish people for getting finishes, or at least the fans. So moving on to the next fight, we have Junyoung Park versus Dennis Tululin. I chose Tululin for this fight. Junyoung Park basically destroyed him here. He took him down. Actually, I wouldn't say easily, but Dennis Tululin did a good job defending initially, but Junyoung Park was able to just get him down. Was able to get in top mount and just absolutely destroy him. Dennis Tululin turned over and went into rear naked choke. So not too much to talk about there, but a really good win for Junyoung Park. Not much to say, but let's move on to the next fight on the card. Again, very impressive win for Junyoung Park. There's nothing to really say. Destroyed Dennis Tululin. I like Tululin. He's a good fighter, but Junyoung Park definitely got the best of him in this one. Up the card, we have Young Sung Park versus Sung Guk Choi. This is the first fight on the road to UFC tournament finals, I believe. This was the flyweight bout. It was pretty even for a little bit of it. Sung Guk Choi landed some really good shots early on, and I believe landed a couple of takedowns. But Hyun Sung Park was able to get a takedown and submit him by rear naked choke in that last round. Out of all these fights, honestly, I kind of forgot about this one a little bit. There wasn't, like, it was entertaining, but it wasn't like the rest of these fights. It wasn't something that popped out necessarily, but a really good win for Hyun Sung Park. The other fights that were pretty much boring, I remember because they're recent, but good win for Hyun Sung Park. It's the winner of the 125-pound road to UFC tournament in that final, so really good win for him. Let's move on to the next fight. We have Rinya Nakamura versus Toshiomi Kazama. Nakamura absolutely just destroyed this dude. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, it was so impressive. He's an absolute savage in this matchup. Just went straight at him, walked forward, and just went boom, boom, boom. Toshiomi Kazama couldn't really even do anything. Like, he took the shots, got dropped, got up, and then boom, just put straight out cold. Nakamura is an absolute beast and a monster. He is a little open on the feet, but again, he's an absolute monster. I'm going to 100% enjoy a lot of his matchups because it seems like he has a mentality killed to be killed, and it's perfect. I love it, in all honesty. And he's a wrestler too, so he doesn't even really use his wrestling, and he's just knocking guys out all willy-nilly. So super impressive there. Where did I even put my phone? I'm not even sure. But it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so who gives a damn. Next fight on the card, we have Zhang Yang Lee versus Zha Yi. For this matchup, I chose Zhang Yang Lee to win, and he did win. There were a little worrying scenarios here. I believe he's the guy who got finishes within like seconds of the first round in his last 2 road to UFC fights. This one was ended by split decision. Zha Yi did a really good job shooting in on takedowns and putting him against the fence and tiring him out a little bit. But Zhang Yang Lee was able to take advantage of a couple situations, positional situations on the ground, was able to outpoint him. I believe this was like a really weird decision. I believe Zhang Yang Li got like a 229-28, and then Zai got a 30-27. So the fight was kind of close, but like the split decision was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how you can get two judges as 29-28 and the other one as a 30-27. I think that's kind of crazy, but still a good win for Zhang Yang Li. I was hoping to see a little bit more out of him, maybe get an early finish, but it didn't happen. Maybe he can do better in his next matchup. But for the final, road to UFC tournament final, for the 155-pound division, we have Anshul Jubli versus Jeka Sergi. For this one, this was actually probably the closest one, I thought, of the actual tournament finalist match, like actually going into the card, not after, but actually going into, I was the most intrigued, and I thought this would be the closest. I wanted to see a little bit more. I thought Anshul was a super technical fighter, fast hands, and you kind of saw that a little bit in the first round, but then he started slowing down once he started grappling, things like that. But Jeka Sergi also showed that power. He's doing some like weird emote stuff in there, and it's like, dude, come on. But he eventually did get TKO'd and ground and pounded Jeka Sergi, because Anshul Jubli just absolute grappled the crap out of him. He is decent on the feet, so we'll see how he does in his other matches. But I do think they should still sign Jeka Sergi. He still has that power, and I think he can be entertaining. So we should keep Jeka Sergi. Obviously, Anshul Jubli is going to get signed. So not much to really say there. Good win for Jubli there. Showed his wrestling skill. I found my phone. And then I'm going to default the stream real quick so I can check the chat and make sure nothing's really screwed up here. We're good. So moving up on the card, we have Adam Fujit versus Yusaku Kinoshita. For this one, I said Yusaku Kinoshita would win. That obviously didn't happen. Adam Fujit had really good moments in this matchup. Kinoshita did definitely land a couple good shots on the feet, but Adam Fujit eventually caught him. And then Kinoshita kind of just flipped over, and then Fujit's wrestling took it from there. Absolutely really good wrestling, actually. He did well against Michael Morales, or at least surprisingly well against Michael Morales. But Fujit looked good here in the wrestling department. A good win. He did knock down Kinoshita. A very good win. So not really much to say here. The stoppage was a little bit early, but I can kind of understand. He took a flush elbow shot, and then he's just elbowing the guard of him. But I think there's like, 20 seconds left in the round. I think you should give him a little bit more time if he's not going to keep defending himself, because that was all within like 5-6 seconds. So I don't know. It was a little early, but it's fine, I guess. I kind of just want to get through the card just watching it, honestly. Like, we got to the main card, and I was like, this is getting rough. But the next fight on the card, we had Doohoo Choi. I guess my head's blocking it. Doohoo Choi versus Kyle Nelson. This was a majority draw. Doohoo Choi, I believe, got the first round. Kyle Nelson got the second round. And Doohoo Choi was pretty much winning that third round, split on that control time, but did land a lot better shots. I believe it was like knees to the body or something. Or no, it is body shots, because Kyle Nelson was on a takedown. But before then, Doohoo Choi was on top. And I guess he had headbutted Kyle Nelson. I guess it's more of a intent kind of thing there. So he did take a point. That was a little iffy. But I do understand where the ref is coming from. It did look kind of like an intentional headbutt. But Doohoo Choi ended up drawing there. He ended up winning that round, I guess. So it went 9-9 for that round. So that's why it was a majority draw. I believe the other decision, so because it's a majority draw, two of them said 28-28. The other one said 29-27 for Doohoo Choi. So another guy had basically 30-27 for Doohoo Choi, other than that foul that he committed in that last round. So that's pretty much that fight. Doohoo Choi looked solid. Kyle Nelson looked solid. I believe there was a moment in the second round where Kyle Nelson hurt Doohoo Choi, but decent performance from both of them. Doohoo Choi, I think, definitely should have won, but you headbutt a guy, that's what happens, I guess. Moving up, we have Marcin Tybura versus Blagoy Ivanov. This one was a little rough in the first round, I'm not going to lie. They're both like punching at air, and then eventually, I guess they got more comfortable with the range and started landing some better shots. But this was split from one and the first and the second round. I believe Marcin Tybura won that first round, used his range a little bit better, the body kicks. and was just using his range a little bit better. And he stumbled Blagoy Ivanov in that first round also. For that second round, Blagoy Ivanov was landing some really good shots, used some really good power shots in that second round. Was able to stun Marcin Tybura a little bit. Marcin Tybura definitely had like a moment in there, but within that moment, we had a Marcin Tybura. We had a Blagoy Ivanov moment too that was much bigger, and he's landing a little bit more powerful strikes, and you could tell he was doing a little bit more damage, clean shots. So that's why it was split. So round 1, Tybura, round 2, Blagoy Ivanov. The third round, Marcin Tybura came in and just started wrestling. It's like when you saw it, you're like, oh, okay, you probably should have started this earlier. The whole round was wrestling. Marcin Tybura went in for a takedown, held him against the fence, and was pretty much just grappling him there and then doing damage on the ground. That's pretty much how he won that round. So it was a 29-28 victory for Marcin Tybura. I think he actually got a 30-27, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. I may be incorrect, but good win for Marcin Tybura there. Showed us some good wrestling, especially coming off of that last victory against Romanov. Beating Blagoy Ivanov is good too. So our co-main event, Devin Clark versus Da Un Young. I chose Da Un Young for this one. I got it wrong. But Devin Clark looked pretty decent here. Da Un Young showed some really good takedown defense as always. Devin Clark landed some good shots, and I think his conditioning was just better for this one, in all honesty. I think he was landing some better shots, and he was able to defend the takedowns, shoot for takedowns, and not get as tired as Da Un Young in this one. So he was landing cleaner shots and just looked better in general. Like I genuinely think the conditioning was the biggest problem for Da Un Young in this one, because after like the late second round and the later second round, he's kind of getting tired, and the stand up he was looking a little bit slower, and Devin Clark still had the speed and still had the power. So I think that's why he kind of won that fight. I don't necessarily remember the decision, but I believe it was 30-27 unanimous. So good win for Devin Clark. Da Un Young is a pretty good fighter, coming off of 2 rough losses, so we'll see how he rebounds after that, but good win for Devin Clark. For our main event, Sergey Spivac versus Derek Lewis. My initial prediction for this, like months ago, was Derek Lewis win when he was a lot bigger. I saw him lose a lot of weight, and I was like, okay, Derek Lewis, I think not most, but a lot of his takedown defense has to do with how big he is, and the fact that he's able to explode off the ground against guys in general. This is the weirdest takedown defense I've ever seen. He's able to explode off the ground randomly and things like that to get out of those bad situations. But in this one, he did lose a lot of weight. It definitely looked like that when he was walking out. It's good for him, though. He's older. It's good for him losing weight in general, but it did not help him in this fight. I think the fact that he did lose some weight didn't benefit him here. Sergey Spivac hip tossed him, and then I believe went 5 for 7 of takedowns right after that. Just hip tossed him, like threw him, got up, and then just kept taking down Derek Lewis. Looked super impressive. But Derek Lewis is a massive dude. Sergey Spivac's wrestling looks really good. And I don't know where he goes from here. Bisping set him up perfectly. He never does this. He'll choose like 3 guys. Who do you want to fight next? You know, a lot of people are interested. Who do you want to fight next? It's mostly like the European guys, but I'm not going to go there. But he's like, I don't know, John Jones or something. I'm like, it's like, bro, you got to get a name. He's like, I'm ready for anybody. I don't know who I pick, man. You got like, I don't know. I don't know these guys. You know, I don't know who to pick. He's like John Jones. I'm like, all right, bro. You're 12. You just beat number 7. Got to get a name in mind. I don't know who he should fight. You got Rosenstrike's coming off a win. I'd probably have to look at his previous matchups, but he's fought some of those guys that are already up there. He beat Derek Lewis, lost to Aspinall. Let me pull up the rankings. I believe I did have them open on one of my tabs. Get off my screen. Michael Chiesa. UFC rankings. Okay. Heavyweight rankings. Sergey Spivak, number 12. Derek Lewis, number 7. So they'll probably meet in the middle. Tybura won, so he'll move up. Dacus is Dacus, so he'll stay there. We have Blagoy Ivanov dropping down, so he'll probably drop out of the rankings. So maybe a Rosenstrike versus a Sergey Spivak. That would be interesting. Let me check Sergey Spivak's previous fights so I don't do any repeats, because he's been in the UFC for a while now and he's starting to come in his own now. So Sergey Spivak, wins over or lost to Walt Harris, won against Taito Iwasa, lost to Marcin Tybura, won against Carlos Felipe, won against Jared Bandiera, won against Alexei Oleinik, lost to Tom Aspinall, won against Greta Kargi, won against Augusto Sakai, and then won against Derek Lewis. I believe Alexander Volkov does have a match made already, so maybe you do, and he already beat Taito Iwasa but lost to Tom Aspinall, so maybe he moves up a little bit further. Maybe you do like a Rosenstrike versus Spivac. But I do think eventually I do want to see Spivac versus Blades. I think that'd be a really fun matchup, just to see two grapplers go after each other. And the fact that Spivac can pick up these guys and throw them around, only weighing like 240 pounds, and these guys are like probably 270 plus on fight night, is super impressive. So I don't know necessarily where Sergey Spivac will rank after this matchup. Just assuming beating number 7, Lewis will probably drop quite a bit, maybe to like 10. Spivac will probably go up to 9. Tuivasa might drop down a little bit because he does have a win over Tuivasa. He might move up a little bit. Volkov already has a matchup. He already lost to Aspinall, already beat Tuivasa. So what? Yeah, Rosenstrike. Maybe you do a matchup between Spivac and Rosenstrike there. That's the only one around this rank that you could say. He already lost to Tom Aspinall, so you can't really do that. Maybe Blades, but Blades versus Pavlovich is already in talks. So maybe Rosenstrike versus Spivac would be good for him next. For Derek Lewis, I don't know who you give him next. He already beat Chris Dawkins, already beat Volkov. Maybe you do that. Volkov already has a matchup again. I don't know what you do. I don't know who you give Derek Lewis. I think I'll just leave that to the matchmakers. But Sergey Spivac versus Rosenstrike might be nice. I don't know if there's any other matchup for him in the heavyweight rankings. So hope you guys enjoyed the fight recap. I don't know if there's anything else to really talk about for UFC 284 full card predictions. I'm going to try and get them out tomorrow. Try and get the full card predictions out by the end of the day. If I can't, it'll probably be out on Monday, in all honesty. It could possibly very likely be out on Monday. I don't know. We'll see. It's a 13 fight card. I believe there's 13 fights on it. So I might take a little bit of time getting through it. But some of the fights are pretty straightforward, in all honesty. It's not the best card, but the top 3 are probably the best on that card, and I've already broken them down. So I already know those top 3. If I can get through the other 10 at a decent speed, it'll probably be out by the end of the day tomorrow. But if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you let me know. Leave a like or something, whatever. Possibly, I won't be doing a fight companion next weekend because it is Super Bowl weekend and I'll be traveling and all that. So enjoy the card next weekend. I'll be doing breakdowns all week for the UFC 284 card. I'm not going to stop because I learned a lot from the Christmas break where I pretty much didn't post anything and my whole algorithm just went to shit. So I'm going to be posting. Thank you guys for tuning in for this stream. Thank you for turning into the fight companion. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all who commented also during the live stream. It's awesome. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys